Welcome back, you guys, to our Sunday wrap. Here we are. Look at us in a new studio. We've been upgraded this week. Obviously, the channel's doing so well that I've been upgraded to the car, and soon we'll be in studio taking over the NRL Fantasy Boys and NRL.com. That's the goal anyway. Do we reckon that our podcasts at the moment are getting more views and watches than these guys? Let me know what you guys think. But let's jump into the Sharks and the Titans for this one. And Jesse Ramian with an absolute belter of a game again. 13 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, really no negatives in there, just apart from the 1 penalty, a couple of line breaks and a try. He's been incredible, and he's done it the majority of the year. Apart from those injury affected games, he has actually been incredible and has stuck to the task and would be averaging way more than 51 in the centers, which is super, super strong for anyone in there. And you can see that a lot of the centers are very up and down, but the majority of them have had some injuries and suspensions and stuff. So there's only really been a few, like an Opacek, even Jack Bird, for example. Avril Lowe missed a couple of games, but there's not many that have really stood the test of time. So it'll be interesting to see, after this round 13 bye, if you're looking to pick him up in a 14 or 15. I think that could be a solid option. He will be pretty high though. You'd expect him to be closer to 560, 570. He's coming off a lower game in his injury affected one, but he could be a cool option for anyone in round 14, 15. For anyone that held Fafita, you were rewarded handsomely with 16 tackle breaks and 4 offloads there. Standard for him, just 17 tackles. He did go off for 10 minutes, which was interesting, but with that one there, he's obviously done really well with that 79, but he does miss obviously miss round 13 coming up soon, so that's something to think about. And then how many games will he miss following that round there? That's going to be our question going forward. Is he going to be rested after Origin? Is he going to be playing all those games and just missing 17 as well, or is he going to get rested during those times also? So that's something to think about with Fafita. And also Mo Fotuaika, he's someone who's playing big minutes at the moment and is playing really, really strong. Just even though it was just 3 tackle breaks this week, it's good to see that he can get the line break, he can get over 200 meters and 40 tackles to go with like a few attacking stats as well. And if he keeps up these minutes, he's going to be incredible. But the issue is he should be on the bench, you'd imagine, for the Queensland squad coming into round 13 there. So that's that one with Mo. If he doesn't make the Origin team, I think he's a really, really strong option this week. He'll be a little bit more expensive than his 609. But he's done really well, and I think he'll continue to do so. Aaron Clark had an absolute cracker of a game too. It was Mo and Aaron really leading the charge for the Titans boys, who like you say, you look at Fafita and he did really well fantasy wise, but I don't think he had a very good actual footy game. He is very, especially in the back end, they're trying to make a comeback, and he was very lazy. Like, they'd do a kick through and he just wouldn't even move. Like, he wouldn't even chase. And I see that a little bit from him sometimes, and it's really overlooked with how barnstorming his runs are, and he's just bumping people off and stuff like that. But those little effort areas are where the Titans, I think, are lacking at the moment. And that's something that Clark and Mo really brought in this game, which was interesting to see Clark play a game that way, because he just hasn't been, he's obviously 316k in fantasy, so the stats haven't really been there. So that was a really interesting one there, but well done to him. Ronaldo comes back with 68, and it's just, I think for the Sharks, it's really important to see someone come back into the team who could finish really well, and that's something that he does that he does there. And obviously, getting a few players back, they actually played a lot better than they have over the last month or so, especially. So great win from them. Really alarming for the Titans boys. Jackie Williams come off the bench and scored well. 43 minutes for 64 points, so worked really, really hard in that time. Bradley got a try as well, so well deserved from him. Proctor with a try. Johnson with a much better game, so he's again going to be an interesting one post round 13. Is if the Sharks start playing better, he's going to score well. Obviously get more goal kicks and some try assists and whatever to boot. So well done to him. And Moylan as well was one of the best games I've seen him play in a while. Probably definitely his best game this year. Just ran really well with the footy in hand, 167 meters and a couple of line breaks there. So this is the way they've got to play it. If Moylan, he's going to be the strong running half, and then Johnson can control the game. So that worked really well. Connor Tracy, I think, is a really solid player. Just someone that is pretty quick. When he's running, but also just the effort areas and just a little bit of footy smarts has been really good for him. for him to get a lot of game time in this squad. So well done to Connor. Mitch Raines, steady with his 50s every second week, basically. Kennedy, after that one real bad week that's obviously killed his money-making potential, he's been pretty solid. But yeah, that 49, we're not too keen on picking him up. For example, Tino with 46, he goes to play Origin now. That's about it. Yeah, like an okay game. He looks solid, but nowhere near as good as he did when he was playing for Storm. What do you guys think of the New South Wales team, by the way? Let's drop a few of those comments in the in the comments there as well, and also in the Discord. Let's have a bit of a chat about it. I personally think there's a couple of interesting selections. Obviously, the back line is probably exactly what I thought it would be. With Luai, Latrell, Trebojevic, obviously lose To'o for those that have him, which is probably a little bit annoying. I think Tupou probably is still just better for Origin, just with the fact that they're going to have Xavier Coates on To'o's wing, who's going to be easily be able to outleap him. And I don't think he's a great defender yet, To'o. So maybe you can warm into that over the next few years, and that's why they're picking him as like sort of the long term option in the wing there. But the forwards was an interesting one. Like, do we prefer Murray on an edge or in the middle? Like, I guess the question there is with so many out, and obviously losing Frizzell last night as well. They're like, we need some stability, I suppose, on an edge. And I was also very happy that they didn't pick Ryan Madison. So happy days. Let's slide along. Let's talk about my man Fogs. And God, that sin bin was the biggest milk I've ever seen from Wade Graham. He literally passed it 1.5 meters to 2 meters forward just to hit Fogs and get him sin bin. So well played. It worked. He gets -7. He misses out another 10 minutes of points. So he would have been somewhere in the low 40s for sure if he didn't get binned in that period of time. But yeah, I suppose not much I can do really. He missed a bunch of tackles, just getting out there trying to cover their guys, and when they were getting trampled on a bit, it wasn't much he can do. He had a nice line break and run there, but the kick meters was down because they didn't have the ball that much. So yeah, tough one there. And Kelly got a try, but just didn't get to do too much. Most of the Titans guys are going to struggle a little bit, especially the outside backs, and you can tell there that our biggest one is Brimson at the end there with 3. Was really sad to see. With 3 missed tackles for his 3 tackles there and 29 meters gain and 1 little kick. So yeah, ended up with a bit of a knee issue, which will be interesting to see if he still gets picked for Origin. He seems to think he'll play if he gets picked in Origin. So probably not good signs for Titans going forward. If he's just like, I'll do whatever I can. I'll be back. I'll make it back for Origin, and that ruins his chances, especially with the Titans as well. So that's that one there, guys, for our first game, and we'll slide over to the next one. All right, so with the Knights and the Manly guys, obviously some decent scores here from a few players here, and Cherry Evans is getting back pretty much to where his starting average was. So 62 now as his average, and he averaged 63 to 64 last year. So a nice 81 from him, even in a team that got beat. So it's really cool to see when your team doesn't have a great game, but you can still have the really big score. That was great there. And then you move to Connor Watson, and he's someone that just really, really showing his versatility in any role possible. And obviously, the more time he can spend in the middle of the park, so obviously 5'8", not too bad for him in terms of being able to still being able to get his tackles, but then being able to run the ball a lot, I think is great. And then he obviously moved to the fullback position at the end and took a really good bomb, and it just shows that he can do a bit of everything. And for the people that are still trying to move him on, he's averaging 52 at 0.6. Yes, that's after the 68, but he's still averaging over 50. So, similar to someone like Schuster, who obviously, unfortunately, hurt his hamstring or whatever he's done. Hopefully it's only a week thing or a 2-week thing, and he can come back after the bye. But, those two guys there averaging over 50 and have dual position in tough positions in the mids and obviously the edge as well is so important to anyone's squad. And I think, Watson just does a bit of everything and is due for games like this for sure. Should move back into a middle position. They do have an injury, obviously, to Frizzell, which means that Watson should play some bigger minutes through the middle next week, I'd imagine, especially if Kurt Mann or Ponga are back following this week. But if he stays in the 6th position, that's also okay. Carl Lawton, what about the move from him? He moves over from the Warriors to the Manly boys and moves into the starting spot this week and plays 73 minutes for 67 points. And you can tell that 51 tackles there on the edge is such a hooker thing. He's played so much hooker through his time with the Warriors. And you can see he just loves getting in there and getting the work done. So, but a nice line break and a try assist there. So awesome for Carl there. I think he moved to Trbojevic, and he's really improved his average over the last sort of month or so. He did have a quiet one the other week, but the majority of his scores now are hitting over 50. And if you picked him up a bunch of weeks ago, you're fairly happy with his output. But obviously, Origin comes into play now, and he's got the front row spot in the Origin side, along with Saifidi. So a decent little try for him and a couple of line breaks. So yeah, awesome work. But yeah, just someone that hasn't been scoring his best, and will be playing Origin as well. So have a little look at some of the some of the forwards that are going to be coming through for the Knights in the next couple of weeks, and see if there's any nice cheapy cash cows that might get a spot. And obviously that's something to take a look at across all of the games and all the teams with the suspensions and all that sort of stuff going through. So definitely keep an eye on that for little cheapies or little like 3 to 4 week cash cows that if you're someone that's sitting with a bunch of trades that you could milk one of those guys going forward, then that could be a good idea. Lockie Croker with another good game, 50 tackles for 1 miss for 57. I think most people have moved him on by now, but if not, good stuff. So Power Paseka, Morgan Harper, just showing that he's still a really good option in the centres, and I imagine he keeps his spot, right? I don't see Dylan Walker walking back into that spot. No pun intended. Tavita Funa with 50, he was really strong early, making a lot of tackles, running the ball well. I think he did okay in that spot. I wouldn't be selecting him especially with their buy coming up. Most of the guys you look at are these Knights guys, and Costin again with someone that I talked about was a half an option if he was going to get more time, and it looks like he's literally going to be in that spot all year now. So probably a little bit too expensive. He's going to be up near 400k now, but yeah, well done to him with 619 kick meters there to easily get him closer to a 47. Clemmer hasn't been good enough. I don't think you can select him. Barnett becomes an interesting option. An interesting option again at 623. He's going to be a little bit cheaper than that, closer to 600. And you'd imagine he gets his edge spot back while Frizzell's out. So through this bye period, especially, I think Barnett's going to be really important to a lot of teams if he's getting 80 minutes and getting closer to those 50, 55, 60 scores again. And when Ponga's out, he should be kicking goals as well. So have a think about that with Barnett. Obviously, Tech's kicked a couple as well. But if he's out of the team on and off, then he could be out with concussion this week. We don't even know. But yeah, Barnett could kick as well, and could be a decent option through this middle period. But I'm just worried long term if you're gonna have to trade him out, I suppose. Tex with 43 for anyone that held him, but he got concussed at the end of the game there. Bradman Best with 42, so a nice little score there. A little bit of a welcome back to him. Just scored a little bit across the park, which was good. But Knights, I think, have to do pretty well for Best to score, somewhere in the mid 40s to 50, I think. So keep that in mind. Obviously, Frizzell here, if you're holding him, he's probably going to end up being a trade, as he's going to be looks to be somewhere between 3 to 6 weeks with him, and Origin would be there when he comes back as well. So keep that in mind for Frizz. Jason Saab with a try, nice little runaway again, and they were no chance of catching him, were they? So yeah, if you had to play him, which I think a lot of people either played short this week or played right on 17, then you're happy with his score there. Brayley with 2 low scores in a row, 45 and a 39. So just what I've noticed is the last few weeks he hasn't tackled as much. So 40 and 38, or 42 and 38. And then a bunch of more missed tackles. So he usually was sitting around that 1 to 2 missed tackles. I don't think he missed a tackle for his first 3 games or something. And now maybe he's getting a little bit tired, but 5 missed tackles, 6 missed tackles the last couple of weeks, and less tackles made to go along with a few little stats there. So that's why the scores are much lower. But you'd still expect him to bounce back into the 50s and 60s very shortly, especially next week, you'd imagine, with a couple of players out to Origin, for example. All right, Stafford, Brody Jones, Fitzgibbon. Again, probably not a good enough score. Not scoring well enough in general for you to think about selecting him in your squad in here going forward. Simply another okay score, and we'll make a little bit of cash, but not an option. Thank goodness Trbojevic didn't go well this week. Finally, they contained him a little bit. I suppose, as I said, the Knights played a lot better than what the Manly boys did, and that would be why. And that's where you can see Garrick with the lowest score as well, obviously with a line break there. But Trbojevic is going to be a great option no matter what. But this is kind of a little bit more of what used to happen with Trbojevic. Not he absolutely goes bonkers every game. So this is every second or third week was what this was normally, or you'd have the odd 20 and stuff like that when he didn't run the ball as much, for example, or we didn't have turnover tackles. So without that, he'd be a 23, which makes more sense. So That's that, guys. And then Benny Trbojevic comes on for a couple of minutes, gets a few tackles, makes one run, and gets knocked out in the process. So, well done to him. But congrats on the debut, and it would have been pretty cool for all the boys there to give him that debut cap, which is awesome to see. But yeah, that's the wrap for the week, guys. Let me know what you thought on the week, how your team went, and we'll go from there, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.